Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We're so happy to co-host with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation the special viewing of Spirit Bear and the Children Make History, an animated screening led by the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society, which created this opportunity and created the popular children's book by the same name. My name is Emmanuel Lopez Bastos. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Human Rights, Equity, and Diversity Department Coordinator at UFCW Canada. I bring you greetings from our National President, Paul Minema, and on behalf of our UFCW Canada Indigenous Subcommittee members, colleagues, and friends, we look forward to sharing this hour and 15 minutes with you as we receive a traditional welcome from Chief Laforme, followed by a greeting from Emily Williams from the Caring Society. Emily will introduce the 25-minute film, after which we'll engage in a brief discussion on the importance of reconciliation and reconciliation. To start, I situate my comments from Toronto, Ontario, the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And since time immemorial, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and many other First Peoples. Participants are joining from diverse areas of Turtle Island, and so we acknowledge those nations too. UFCW is commonly known as the Food Workers Union, and as such, we recognize that Indigenous people are the first and rightful landholders of Turtle Island, and the first to embrace the sustainable relationship to the food system we contribute to and benefit from today. Today, we affirm our commitment that worker justice is synonymous with Indigenous justice. So now it is my honor to present to you Chief Stacey Laforme of Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Thank you, Chief, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Ani, Bazu, Nagani, Anishtabeki Nini, Stacey Laforme, Disnakas, Credit Dunzaba, Mainga Dodam, Mississauga, Anishinaabe Dao. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to greet you in our language. There was a time in a not so distant past where our language is almost totally gone, but now I'm happy to say that our children learn it in the school and the daycare, and many of the adults learn it, online and through courses. So it's great to have that tie and that connection back. I'd like to acknowledge the Creator, the world around us, and our place within it. I'd like to acknowledge the many nations that walked this land in the past, the many nations that walk it today, and welcome you to the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe. Now, I don't know what territory you are on tonight, but it is important that you learn it, you remember it, and you acknowledge it. So if you're talking about being an ally, it's difficult to be an ally if you don't know whose territory and land you're standing on. So that's important. So I want to tell you a brief story that some of you have heard, because I talk about it a lot. As you can see, you can't really see because I'm sitting down, but I like to wear colorful ribbon shirts, and I like to wear them whenever I can. And some are very elaborate and some are very nice and loud. And I was in a store in Toronto one day walking about, and a man came up to me and he goes, "That's a nice shirt." And I go, "Thank you." He goes, "It takes a special kind of man to wear a shirt like that." So I chuckled and said, "Thanks." But the truth is, when I was young, I would have been too afraid to dress like this, too afraid to acknowledge my heritage, because I'd have been afraid of what others would say. But the truth is, we should never have to change to fit into society. The world around us should adapt to embrace our uniqueness. And that message is so important, not just to our youth, but to all of us, because sometimes we all forget that. So now I want to thank First Nations Child and Family and Caring Society, UFCW and MCFN staff for making tonight possible and making it happen. I didn't do anything. They just said, "Can you come online and pretend you're involved in this?" I said, "Sure." But the staff did it all, so I thank them immensely for that. I wanted to say that I think this is really important, and I'm very grateful that we're using this medium, a video, a story, to tell a groundbreaking event in real life. So that's very good. So I'm rambling on here, but I wrote a poem about 20 minutes ago, and I called it Spirit Bear, and I wanted to share it with you before the video begins. So, Spirit Bear. I am a symbol, nothing more. I represent determination, love, pain, and hope. I represent the voice of a generation. I am an image for equality, an image for unity, a symbol for reconciliation, perhaps. When I say symbol, do not mistake. A symbol has the power to change the world. People have rallied behind symbols since time began. A staff, a flag, an idea, a vision. I am a symbol, and my strength is your strength. My spirit is your spirit. And if history has taught us anything, it is that your strength is limitless and your spirit unbreakable. I may be just a symbol, but I am a symbol of resilience that knows no bounds, for I am your symbol. I am Spirit Bear. Miigwech. So enjoy the video, the popcorn, and the hot chocolate. Be heard, be safe, Bumma P, and I'll turn it over to the lovely Emily Williams.
Thank you so much, Chief Laforme. Thank you for getting us started in such a beautiful way this evening. My name is Emily Williams. My pronouns are she, her. I'm joining you from unceded Algonquin territory tonight, and I work at the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society of Canada, and it's my great pleasure to be here with everyone. So I want to, just to introduce the film, I'll give you a little bit of information about it. So it's a stop motion animated adaptation of Spirit Bear's children's book, which is written by Cindy Blackstock and Eden Robinson. The film was made by the talented multidisciplinary midship artist Amanda Strong and her very talented team at Spotted Fawn Productions. It tells the true story of the historic human rights case for First Nations children at the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. This case resulted in 2016 in Canada being ordered to end its discriminatory underfunding of services for First Nations kids. So for us, it's a story of loving justice. It's the story of how Spirit Bear, who is a very special bear who you'll meet momentarily after the film starts, and his young friends stood with First Nations kids at the tribunal and helped make Jordan's principle a reality. It was created to engage a wider audience in the movement for equity and fairness for First Nations kids, families, and communities. And it's our great pleasure to share it with you tonight. We hope you enjoy it.
Here today to help facilitate the discussion among the members of our National Indigenous Subcommittee. And we are so grateful for their time and the opportunity for them to give us, to let us hear their thoughts. So what I'll do now is to get us, help us get the conversation going is I'm going to call on each panelist. And if you could please just introduce yourself to the audience and provide us some of your thoughts and your remarks after watching this film. Angela, can we start with you?
Dansa. I'm Angela Fiddler. I am from the Treaty 6 territory. I'm a member of the Waterhen Lake First Nation in Northern Saskatchewan. I think one of the challenges I do believe that reconciliation has is the lack of opportunity to teach children of all nations the truth of what really did happen to Indigenous children, and also what's still happening in today's society. Non-Indigenous adults have a hard time changing their mindset. They grew up listening and believing to the negative stereotypes involving Indigenous people. And by sharing this video with children and families of all nations, this precious video, Spirit Bear, will plant small seeds of love, caring, sharing, and hope. They will become the change. They will become the change in all four directions of the world. They will create an equal change for Indigenous children to raise them up to their levels. And as an Indigenous mother from Waterhen raised right on the reserve, I took the time to teach my children resiliency. I told them one day, things are going to be different, and that they would understand how things come about and how we continue to raise our voices to be the change in society no matter how hard it is, to never give up. And I hope you never give up, that you continue to rise up and speak up when the time is right. So I encourage all of you to click on the links provided to help create this change. And to all my relations, may the Creator give you strength to be that change. Hi.
Thank you so much, Angela. And thank you for just letting us hear your thoughts. It's what an honor to hear from you. I'm going to move over to Tom. Tom, if I can get you to unmute so that we can hear from you.
Good evening, everyone. Buzu, Anin. My name is Tom Biebrich. I work at Sungrow Horticulture, a peat moss packaging plant in southeast Manitoba on Treaty 1 land. I have been there for 40 years. And after watching this film hits home with we are small, but we can stand tall. Growing up, it was never put to us so strongly that we could come together to lobby, to bring about action as the young people today can. We always had the power. Write a letter to an MP, talk directly to a politician, doing it publicly so they have to listen to an up-and-coming voter. The big problem or challenge with reconciliation was, and always will be until we're able to change some of the things, timelines and stalling. The more voices, the bigger the impact will be on the lawmakers. I hear people say all the time, I'm only one voice. But together, we make a choir that can move mountains. Canada is voted as one of the best places to live on earth. But for who? We are the protectors of the land. Mother Earth is crying for her children. I was always taught in school that Canada is a multicultural nation. And as such, everyone should be equal. It is important for young people to be informed and motivated to bring about change in a peaceful way. In closing, children should be just that, children. We as adults should be able to enjoy our brief time here as well. So we need to all come together and make things great for all people of this earth. Thank you. Miigwech. Have a good night.
Thank you, Tom. And now I'm going to call on Shane as well. If you could unmute yourself and let us hear about some of the thoughts that you had.
Hi, my name is Shane Morse. I actually live here in the GTA in Toronto, Ontario, but my family, most of them are from the East Coast, all parts, but we grew up in just outside Toronto, Nova Scotia, and my grandmother came from, which is now known as Millbrooks First Nations, and I also grew up as Métis. The film was really a great film. It's a film that children can watch, but there's also a lot of lessons that adults can learn from. One of the great things I like about this film is it is simple enough for, people like young children to understand some of the challenges, and they probably know because they're going through them, but also adults, some of them that have no idea just some of the things that took place. I grew up off the reserve, and so did my mom, but when we went home in the summertime, we would always see people from our community off the reserve and on the reserve. We'd go through the malls and we'd see like the kids being walked around by people that weren't their parents. When I was younger, I didn't understand it. And then they would, I'd drive by the hotel and I'd see them at the hotel. It's changed somewhat now, but it's still They don't keep them in a hotel. I don't know where they keep them now. But one thing that struck me about the video was, First Nations children are better in their own homes. Some of my friends, some of my family grew up in foster care. And to this day, we couldn't tell you why they were brought up that way. And when there was nothing wrong with the home they were brought up in, just because we had different customs and we were tied to our community, the other communities saw it fit that they could just come and take our children. As we move forward, we must do more to help the children. We must do more to just make sure that they're tied to their communities and that they're better in their homes. We got to be very careful taking people out of homes. And as we move forward and as we learn more and we educate people, a lot of the process has to be listening and learning from the past so that we don't have the same problems happen in the future. We have the ability to, I like some of the words in the film, we have the ability to make it equal for all children. And all children should have the same opportunities, be it education, be it health, be it just opportunities to provide for themselves. And that includes being safe in a home and allowing their parents to be able to provide for them rather than taking them out of the homes. What I would like to see from reconciliation is not only learning and not only healing, but more of understanding of what's going on in the communities and how can we do better to help people, not only help them, but help themselves. They're resilient, our people are very resilient. We'd like to do more for ourselves and for people to understand that some of the stereotypes just aren't called for. And for governments to understand that the promises that are made, please keep those promises. And as you keep those promises, understand that sometimes we don't need to take a long time for these processes to happen. Just treat everybody fairly, and the future is bright. The future is bright for Canada. It should be bright for all of us. And as we continue to work harder to make it a fair place for all, I will continue to work hard, and it doesn't matter which First Nations community it is, I'll support and continue to give my expertise and my time, but especially the children. Some of the things they worry about at a young age, they shouldn't have to worry about. They should just be kids and play and have fun. And I'll leave this with you. Something I got from the movie that really struck me is how the children had the resilience to really believe they could change the world, and they can. It's amazing how kids have so much hopes and dreams. And I love just the fact that they know and believe they can change the world. And that's what I'll just leave with you.
Thank you so much, Shane. Ron, can I get you to unmute?
Yes, good evening, brothers and sisters. My name is Ron Klassen, aka my spiritual name is Webus, meaning rabbit increase. So I want to welcome each and every one of you to Treaty 7, which is in Calgary, Southern Alberta, Zone 7 of Métis Nation. What I got from this movie is, to this day, it's 2021, and showing still the injustices that we have within this country. A G7 country that was supposed to be, very well off, but then yet still can't take care of their own people. we talk about other nations, all the inhumanities that happen there. Well, my ask to each and every one of you, get a hold of your MPs, get a hold of your MLAs, your city councilmen, your clergy, whatever. Make this difference. Show them that our children and all children matter. Just not, oh, a little sprinkle here, a little sprinkle there. They've, Canada has signed on to 2 treaties within the United Nations. One was the UN Declaration of Children's Rights, which is still being denied our children, and the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights. So I just ask that if there is any MPs out there or MLAs, do your job, please, and give our children that fighting chance. That's all that we ask, is to be considered as an equal as everybody else. They've also said that residential schools are a thing of the past. Well, they're not. They've just been changed with a different color, painted a different color. And as my brothers and sisters before me, I just want to thank them for their words. And I'm going to end this now. But Miigwech, thank you very much. And being a creator, be with you. I sit here with my eagle feather. It's been an honor to be a holder of one that people don't know. It's almost considered like a medal of honor. So thank you. And I carry this for all the children of this great country. Thank you. Bye-bye. Miigwech.
Thank you, Ron. And now I'm going to call on Raven.
Hello, my name is Raven MorningStar. I come to you from the Kwanglen and Ta'an Quechan traditional territory from Whitehorse, Yukon. I'm from UFCW Local 1518. I'm Ojibwe from the Red Rock Indian Band located on the Lake Helen Reserve 5A from Nipigon, Ontario. The one challenge and reconciliation that a film like this can help overcome is to be able to speak up and not to be afraid to use your voice, no matter what age you are. My grandparents went to residential school and didn't get to share their experiences and what happened to them. I can be that voice for them today and to speak up for the things that are important for First Nations, like getting clean drinking water, to the reserves that still need this done, to have education like everyone else has and the funding for it, to have proper health care like everyone else does. Together, we can be a stronger voice to get these matters done for every First Nation elder, brother, sister, and child. Let's remember that every child matters, and let's not give up. Let's all stand together to get these issues changed for the better. Let's not wait any longer for this change and to keep the promises and don't break them or change them. Click on the links and send that letter. Miigwech.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Raven. And finally, Gloria.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gloria. I'm here from Algonquin Territory, also known as Bancroft in Ontario. When I was asked what reconciliation meant to me, I didn't have an answer right away. I was too busy going, wow, that's a really big word. But it's also a really big problem, and it has been for a very long time. Reconciliation is about finding equal opportunity for everyone's voice, for all of our people, those that have been wronged in our history, and those that are still fighting every day. I was once told a very wise passage that I didn't understand right away of, if it's about us, don't do it without us. And I think that has really deep meaning here. We call out every day for clean drinking water, for better access to healthcare, and often our voices aren't heard, or it's being said that we're asking for too much. But we are such a resilient people, and we are the best communicators and listeners, from our circles where our children are in the center to our elders sharing the best stories. We can all root so deeply and seed out across many lands here. We really have the power. So please don't be afraid to ever speak up if it's communicating to an adult or a bigger kid than you about what you need. Reconciliation is all about partnership and communicating. So speak up and get the work done. It's about making sure that the promises are finally followed through on. Not another year should go by of empty promises for clean drinking water and healthcare. Thank you. And miigwech for watching.
Thank you so much, Gloria. And I'm going to pass it on to Emma to get us to the next section of our talk.
Thank you so much, Zenny, and thank you for moderating tonight's discussion with UFCW Canada's Indigenous subcommittee members who have been tremendously committed since day one when this committee was formed, guiding our union forward. As part of the closing of this event, we would like to welcome Emily Williams from the Caring Society to share some thoughts about this film, some short-term goals that they had, because we annually create an Indigenous conference, and we had the pleasure of being able to gift the children's book before it became an animated screening. And it was a very special moment for us in the past. So now to see this evolution of this film and to consider that it will reach thousands of children across our island is really a beautiful thing. So Emily Williams, Education and Public Engagement Coordinator of the Caring Society, if you would be so kind to share with us some of the thoughts of the Caring Society, that would be wonderful.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. So as Emmanuel said, my name is Emily Williams. I work as the education coordinator at the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society. I was asked about how this film, the first question I wanted to address is how this film supports reconciliation and specific challenges when it comes to reconciliation. A lot of the previous speakers talked about how this film is accessible. Children, it's intended for children. A lot of these movements, Jordan's Principle, came, of course, from Jordan River Anderson and his loving family, and so it's intended for them. And the idea is to, as I said earlier, engage folks and engage a wider audience in the fight for equity for First Nations children, to help build accountability. As we know, Canada needs accountability. It has a long history of launching commissions, like the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, for instance, and inquiries, and then not doing the work to end colonial injustice. I was thinking really about how this film helps us to stay focused on implementing the Truth and Reconciliation's calls to action. It's been 5 years since that commission and its beautiful dream came forward, and Canada has only implemented 10 of those 94 calls to action. And as many of us are probably aware, these calls to action aim to end the problems that are addressed in the film. It aimed to end inequities and injustice in child welfare, in education and health services for First Nations kids and their families. And most of these have not been implemented. So call to action number 3, for instance, calls on Canada to fully implement Jordan's Principle. And before I go any further, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update at the beginning of 2021 on how Canada is doing with Jordan's Principle. So while we've seen a tremendous difference, and Canada is, after 15 orders from the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, we are seeing a really big difference. Jordan's Principle has extended services to tens of thousands of First Nations children, and that is amazing. And it's thanks to the tireless work of the family and these grassroots efforts and other people that are staying focused on making these changes. But Canada still continues to fight its implementation. So a couple of days before Christmas, Canada filed for a judicial review, so like an appeal, of a key tribunal decision that confirmed that First Nations children living off reserve without status, but who are recognized by their nations, can access services through Jordan's Principle. So this is a really important update. We're seeing that Canada is still trying to limit and is trying to discount certain First Nations children from getting the things that they need. So if you're going to write to your MP, maybe that's something I just wanted to, include and give that a bit of an update. And yeah, they did this a few days before Christmas. So Canada what it's trying to do is it's hoping that we're going to look away from its behavior. And in response, like everyone who spoke so eloquently before me, we need to bear witness. We need to keep our eyes on Canada, and we need to stand with First Nations kids and families and communities. Turning now to short-term goals with the film. So the film came out in the fall. We had a big in-person screening at a drive-in theater in Ottawa, and we had a national virtual screening where over 700 educators signed on, which was very exciting. And we made it available for free at that time. We're continuing to do kind of individual screenings as we go. Right now, the film is available for purchase through McIntyre Media. I can share that link, but it's kind of at an educator's price right now. And we're trying to make it more accessible as time goes on, and we're having DVDs developed as well, because we want to continue to share this with as many folks as possible. In particular, any communities that are interested, any First Nations communities that are interested in viewing the film, we are happy to arrange that for them. So that's an ongoing project. So I just want to thank everyone from the UFCW who made this event possible. Thank you all for sharing in this event tonight. I'm sending you all good thoughts during this difficult time.
Thank you very much, Emily. Thoughtful comments and a lot to think about, a lot to digest. Are there any other comments from any of the speakers tonight that you would like to leave us with before we close?
So we have a lot of Jordan principal workers out there, and I'm hoping that you're able to get in touch with yours on your own First Nation and let them know that this video is available to show and for purchase, and they could perhaps get all the children involved in it and to plant that seed, and hopefully these children become activists like us. That'd be awesome. So get out there and make sure you let everybody know all about this awesome film. Thanks.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Angela. Passing it to Ron.
Klassen here as well. I just want to say to everybody, too, we got to remember this may be your child, your nephew, your niece, your cousin, your grandson, granddaughter, or even a friend. So we got to give these children that start. Don't leave them left behind in the starting blocks. We can't waste one of our most precious resources. You never know, we could have a future prime minister, future Supreme Court justice. Give them that chance. That's all I ask. Meg Witch, thank you.
Thank you so much, Gwetch. Thank you so much for tonight. It's been a very enriching discussion. Before we close, I want to take a moment to thank participants on behalf of all of us here today, the panelists, for sharing this special event with us. We want to thank tonight's speakers, Chief Laforme's beautiful poem on Spirit Bear, and all the thoughtful and diverse perspectives that were shared on ways we can work to implement Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, particularly as they result in First Nation and Indigenous children justice. I want to thank the Caring Society for making, again, this opportunity possible for our members and members of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and community allies. As you know, UFCW Canada has been an organizational partner with the Caring Society since shortly after this complaint was actually filed with the Canadian government. And we saw how this complaint garnered thousands of Canadians' response saying, I bear witness to Canada's unjust treatment of First Nations and Indigenous children. And despite it taking 9 years for a ruling of this significance, It taught us that such a struggle needs our collective efforts, just as has been shared here tonight, to ensure that the implementation of fairness in the healthcare system, in the education system, and in social services is one that's centered on the voice of children, especially First Nation and Indigenous children. You know, Cindy Blackstock has made this comment over and over again throughout the years. Why do we keep operating within a system of incremental justice when children don't live through incremental childhoods? And that has been, for me, one big point that has been referenced throughout this event. So we as Labour, as we have an ongoing campaign to support the Spirit Bear plan, you will receive an email following this event asking you to also support, sign your name, to send a letter to the Prime Minister of Canada, which the Caring Society has, as Emily stated, outlined specific processes which the government can enact to ensure that reconciliation and Jordan's principle is made possible. And as you also heard, there's a lot of individual actions that we can take. So in closing, thank you for listening. And we're very grateful for this time to learn from each other, and let this film challenge us to see that the path that lies ahead through the eyes of children whose belief that the future is better, and it can be better, and it will be better, is a huge part of what carried and sustained this long-term complaint until the very end, which led to really this moment in history and this justice for First Nations children. So on behalf of UFCW Canada and all of us here tonight, thank you so much for watching. And good night.
Good night, everyone.